As of the making of this video, post Resident Evil 4 Remake, leaks and rumors are rapidly swirling around all social media to proclaim what is in fact the next remake. Back in April and June, Capcom had a survey asking any gamers wanting to voice their preference to fill out a survey, many of which you did. The results of that aren't publicly released, but it's pretty obvious that it is most certainly focused on at least 2 Resident Evil games of Resident Evil 5 and Code Veronica. Which of these 2 is the better option? How you take that question can mean a lot of different things. Is the story's narrative more influential than how well each would sell overall? Is one more in need of a remake than the other? There are a lot of differing opinions, and we do potentially know the outcome. The most current up-to-date leaks and rumors actually suggest it's Code Veronica, and has been in development for 2 years now. Roughly speaking, that would mean it's within a year of releasing if that is in fact the case based on the development times of Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, and using the exact same Resident Evil engine for a quicker production timeline. Also mentioned from relatively reliable but probably still suspect sources that at least one Resident Evil game is releasing in 2024. That may include one mainline game, probably Resident Evil 9 because that would make the most logical sense, and one remake in Code Veronica or Resident Evil 5. We already know the ending of Resident Evil 4 Remake had many assuming, that's right, I said that twice, Resident Evil 5 Remake was next as it's a quasi setup for that game. Sort of.
Just one question.
In all honesty, that option never made sense. Capcom would have to assume gamers played the original Code Veronica for the events of Resident Evil 5 to really matter and be completely coherent. Only knowing Wesker from Resident Evil 1 and not from the huge reveal that he's alive in Code Veronica carries a ton of weight. Skipping that is a greatly diminished experience. More importantly, it's where Chris and Claire reunite after the events in Resident Evil 2. Also, Code Veronica being the only game where the siblings are together. Wesker hasn't been in a remake since 2002's original remake. Add in the fact there are a lot of gamers that can't stand tank controls, and Capcom is left in a story of nonsense in Resident Evil 5's remake upon release. Does anyone really care if they have to wait an extra year or 2 for a Resident Evil 5 remake? I highly doubt it. Getting Code Veronica first gets a huge crowd of fans to be happy and content, and then it's a near lock Resident Evil 5 remake is after anyways. Well, unless Capcom says, nah, we're done remaking Resident Evil games. If Capcom just changes gears from remakes getting stale after so many, remaking other game series would be a great change-up. Dino Crisis. Besides the obvious issue of logistics of story and background, we have the issue that Capcom self-imposed and created for itself by skipping Code Veronica in favor of making Resident Evil 4 Remake first, which technically is fine because of being interchangeable with one another and having no negative impact on story events by doing so. The greater issue Capcom faces is actually if they were to release Resident Evil 5 next. It obliterates the need to ever remake Code Veronica ever. The storyline has literal tie-ins to Resident Evil 5, has set up and continues events from Resident Evil 1 and 2 that precede the events within Resident Evil 5. Wesker is believed dead pre-start of Code Veronica after the events of his believed to be death at the end of Resident Evil 1. His return in Code Veronica is a key defining moment for the entire Resident Evil franchise. We find out that in Code Veronica. Also, it's kind of strange to ask gamers what they want for the future of Resident Evil if they already have been deep in production of Code Veronica's remake and likely have Resident Evil 5 somewhere in the pool of production timeline as well. Hopefully, everybody said something else besides Resident Evil in that survey because seems kind of like a waste. Do we really have sway over which releases first if they already did the work for both? Hell no, we don't. But was it more about whether they actually want to bother with remakes beyond the scope of these two specific entries entirely? I don't have those answers, but it would be interesting to see remakes outside of the obvious games we're talking about. Resident Evil 5 will make more for Capcom than Code Veronica ever could. Unless they totally fuck it up, which isn't off the table. See Resident Evil 3 Remake. Poor Resident Evil 3 Remake. Doomed to be a punchline forever when the original is actually a great game. Which is, in hindsight, actually pretty surprising based on how abruptly it was scrapped together in such a short time. That's why in the back of my brain, I have the lingering feeling that Capcom won't do the more logical choice for the franchise, and why the rumors could very well just be that. Baseless rumors. Resident Evil 5 Remake showing up next isn't insane by any means. It very well was deemed near absolute by almost everyone, besides Hittobox, until more recently. Maybe, just maybe, the years of fans asking for Code Veronica has finally had a frickin' effect. Sorry, Dino Crisis. C'est la vie. Either way, I think we'll be finding out more sooner than later. I originally predicted October, but really it's more likely just the next Capcom Showcase event after showing no Resident Evil whatsoever in June's showcase, and a caveat of Resident Evil 4's remake's Ada DLC story content to release soon as well. Hopefully very soon, after adding the achievements basically in the games already.
Sorry.
What are your thoughts on which game should be next and which game is actually going to be next? Let us know down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the content and want more, please consider liking and or subscribing. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time on Hittobox.